have no doubt that the future of retail investors is going to become now much more sophisticated on the back end, because suddenly traders and investors are now becoming quants and with capabilities of quants and of basically hedge fund level tools of investing with agents and machine learning, but also simplifying it. So making it accessible for basically eventually every investor to have a team of agents trading 24/7 on his behalf.
Welcome to another edition of Very First Win. I am your host, Robert Hilmer, also founder of Goanna Capital. Goanna is a global investment firm where shareholders and supporters of companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Databricks, SpaceX, Neuralink, and many other generationally important private technology companies. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Yoni Assia. He is the founder of an amazing company called eToro. Yoni, great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Let's get started. So before we go into your very first win, for anyone who doesn't know what eToro is, and I'm sure there's not that many people, but why don't you give 1 or 2 minutes on the business, and then we'll get into your, I believe, 4 very first wins or stories that you've got for us today.
So eToro today is the world's largest social investment network. We have over 40 million users on our platform where they can actually talk to one another and collaborate around trading in the markets. Then our users can open a brokerage account with us across the globe to trade stocks from 25 different markets alongside about 200 different crypto assets and derivatives across commodities, indices, currencies. And the unique part of the social network is people actually see the performance of each other, the actual portfolios of each other, and can automatically copy the best investors in the network. So we have also a community of 5,000 pro investors who get copied. And as an example, the best ones generate consistently double-digit returns. The top one is being copied today by about $300 million. So that's a retail investor that now every time he trades for 35,000 other people who automatically copy every trade he does.
Sounds like they should be working at Goanna Capital to me. I love what you've done. You were very early to kind of the creation of that collaboration and networking around investing and trading. It was never a thing. So I love what you've done there. In terms of your very first win, let's get started with a story that you remember.
So I always say the foundation of eToro is across 3 very sort of specific aha moments, and then we can add the fourth one, which is quite recent. But it's the first trade I did when I was very young. I think about 13, and I just remember that first trade feeling very, very well, because it was they probably still have the same user experience of a bank there. But I remember doing a trade and then seeing the price changing, I think in Yahoo Finance blotter. And I just remember that feeling that, I'm sitting as a kid in my parents' basement doing a trade and the price of the stock changes because of it. So that led me to really feel how everything is connected. The same as, connecting for the first time and downloading stuff from the internet. So that was figuring out everybody is connected through the internet and figuring out everybody's connected through capital markets. And that led me to eventually sort of the third one, which combines 2 things, which is the global financial crisis. So this is very early days of eToro. And we were, I think, about 1.5 years old into, the global financial crisis, where you woke up and suddenly saw that everything's not working. The banks basically unplugged the system and everything stopped working in the financial services industry. And that led me to realize how broken the entire sort of financial services. This was before the actually term fintech was even created. This was pre-blockchain. And it led me to actually start writing about what eventually has become our nonprofit, the Good Dollar, writing that financial services infrastructure has to be significantly more connected into a 24/7 ecosystem. So I wrote this about the Good Dollar project, which now is a UBI based blockchain project that eToro runs. But what that has led, it led me to look at sort of the entire infrastructure and writing about digital currencies. And because of that, when I discovered then Bitcoin, that was like my third aha moment of this is how the internet and capital markets eventually connect into the same unified system. And I started writing then the Colored Coins protocol, where Vitalik Buterin actually helped us sort of write the first version of tokenization on top of the Bitcoin protocol. And that sort of led me to that understanding that everything in finance eventually is moving on chain, that everything needs to be connected to 24/7 blockchain systems. That is basically how the internet of value eventually needs to set up. And these were very early days of Bitcoin, but that led us to then launch Bitcoin on eToro. And in 2013, despite that, for 4 years, nobody really cared about Bitcoin until we had the first rally of 2017, 18. And then we were very well prepared to start actually adding. So we added Ethereum and Tron and XRP into the platform 2017. And we grew 100 times that year by the number of new funded accounts per day of where we started 2017 and where it peaked at some moment from 200 new accounts per day to 20,000 new funded accounts per day, because we were very early to crypto, adding crypto into a regulated financial ecosystem on eToro. And that led us to grow our revenues from about $60 million in 2016 to $400 million in 2018 through that rapid growth of the entire crypto ecosystem.
That's incredible. Yeah, there's always a moment of inflection for most technology companies, whether it's the market finally comes to you, or you land your first one or two big enterprise customers, or someone gives you some publicity. Just there's always some moment like that. So yeah, being early to crypto, etc., is really interesting. Let's go with another story.
Uh, I would say just last 30 days. So just to be sort of on time, right? So we talked about history now of 18 years, and very excited that last year we also went public and now publicly listed on Nasdaq. And I would say like maybe the relevant story for today is like my last 30 days with OpenClaw. And I just think this is like we had this stage about 2 months ago where suddenly the developers in eToro started using Opus 4.5, then it went to Opus 4.6, realizing that AI can code at the same level of the best engineers. And that just led us to suddenly like go all in. We went from like 30% code written by AI to 70, 80% in some of the teams in eToro. And then I think like OpenClaw just unlocked another layer, right? So until OpenClaw, I think agents were something that you operated in a very organized fashion, right? So everybody in eToro are on Cursor and everybody's using spec-driven development, and we're suddenly running 2 to 3 times faster. And in some cases, by the way, it's like 10 times or 50 times faster. It's things like you couldn't have done before AI that suddenly you can do at 50 times speed. And I think what we saw over the last 30 days, and we have now about like 75 different instances of OpenClaw and NanoClaw and others in eToro, it just unlocked another completely sort of new layer of like superhuman. And we're seeing our customers, so we're testing like MoneyClaw now with some of our customers and with eTorians. And you see just the level. I like built 30 different apps. They're not all like quality yet, but my history is a developer. So I love building stuff. And you just see that spark in people's eyes when they realize suddenly they can actually develop at the speed of light things, and you just write the prompts and it starts building for you, and it's deploying servers, and it's building A to Z software, and I connected it to eToro APIs, so it can actually use the eToro SSO to log into that realization that suddenly people can build software at the speed of light. It doesn't mean that everything is working yet on deployment and QA, so there's another process that needs to happen, but I think now it's inevitable, and that connects very well to our strategy of building now an app store on eToro and enabling our pro investors to actually become builders, which we announced about 5 months ago. And now we're building more and more capabilities for our customers eventually, and for our pro investors to actually use AI to build code, to build agentic systems that can trade on their behalf. And I have no doubt that the future of retail investors is going to become now much more sophisticated on the back end, because suddenly traders and investors are now becoming quants, and with capabilities of quants and of basically hedge fund level tools of investing with agents and machine learning, but also simplifying it. So making it accessible for basically eventually every investor to have a team of agents trading 24/7 on his behalf.
And it's right in line with your philosophy, which is in many ways democratization and access, and obviously community. And AI, in my view, is one of the ultimate democratizing factors that we've seen. No different to the internet, no different to mobile. So it's really good using that, and I think that hedge funds are probably in a lot of trouble because that edge through technology is being eroded, and you're making those tools available to traders and pro traders. So that's really interesting. Now, in terms of AI, where do you see it impacting society? I know that's an expansive question, but to the extent you have any specific, unique views that you've thought through recently about where the world's going, how society will function in an AI native and changing world, what thoughts might you have for the audience?
I think, I share more of the optimistic thoughts rather than the pessimistic ones. I think we are heading towards a potential world of abundance, where suddenly every person has, AI actually working for them, robots probably coming very soon as well. And I think that if every person in the world suddenly has the capability to have, like, 50 people working for them or 100 people working for them, then we are potentially entering a world of abundance. But and leads again back to what I've also written and sort of started the Good Dollar on. We need to figure out also, in some cases, how to run something like universal basic income that connects that ability to participate in this world of abundance to more people. But I think that every technology revolution, from electricity, the industrial revolution, everybody always had fears of what happens, jobs will be lost. But eventually, every technology revolution actually created more jobs than it took. I think it's hard to sort of try to figure out and realize all of those jobs. But I think actually the combination of crypto finance and AI is going to lead a lot of these changes of creating that access to money.
I agree. I have the same posture, because it's always easier, just as a mental exercise, to think through what is going to be displaced, because it's something that's in front of you that can be changed. Whereas to imagine the future, as you did as a founder, and imagine a different future because of technology, that's really hard. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. It was awesome to have you.
Thank you very much, Rob. Pleasure.